It's thinking.
It's thinking. It's processed. Oh, there it is. It's recording. All right.
Excellent.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
So welcome. This is the first of first in a series of sessions about Google Meet. So by the time you are done with the session on Friday, you will be a Google Meet master.
That's the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So glad you are here. We're going to meet Google Meet. And this is the bit.ly if you just joined us. We are here representing Q, but we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves in a moment as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so my name's Catherine Goyette. I am the Educational Technology and Integrated Studies Consultant with Tulare County Office of Ed. So glad to be here. This was my 4th year at TCOE, right? Yeah. Love what I do. I work with a lot of educators and administrators and districts in integrating technology in the classroom, as well as some other things, project-based learning, UDL, things like that. But really right now with distance learning, been called upon a lot to do a lot of trainings virtually with Google Meet is one of the things that we've been working on. So, and prior to that, I taught K1, 2, 5, and 6. And prior to the quarantine, I was in classrooms working with teachers and students at least 100 days a year.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'm Adam Wise. I'm the grade 6 through 12 tech integration coach for Cutler-Rossi Joint Unified School District out there in Tulare County here in Central California. This is the end of now my 15th year as an educator. The first 10 were I was a full-time classroom teacher teaching grades 7, 8, 10, 11 for U.S. and world history. But the last 5 years I've been on assignment as a EdTech integration coach. You have on the previous slide and this slide our contact information, personal emails, so you can always get back to us, reach out to us. We generally respond within 24 hours. And as we say at the end of every session, when you have a session with us, you have free tech support for life, and we're pretty good about getting back to you.
Hey, by the way, those of you that saw that we are not 6 feet apart, we are married, so we're still following the health guidelines. Just wanted to let everyone know there.
Yeah, we have a loophole for this one. Thanks for us.
All right.
All right.
So first things first, I want to make sure that everybody knows kind of what all of these buttons mean. So you'll see here, these are the ones that you will likely be using today, perhaps. On the bottom there, this is where you would mute your mic, leave the call with what looks like an old school phone, and then turning off your video. This is where you'd share your screen on the bottom as well, just so you know. And then on the top, the chat, we will be monitoring the chat on a separate device the entire time. So feel free to ask questions, ask for clarifications in the chat. If you can't see this bottom white bar there, then what you can do, you'll need to go ahead and
someone needs to get in real quick.
Yep, go ahead. Okay, so what you'll need to do then is click in the middle of your screen, and then that white bar will show up again. But again, yeah, I will be monitoring the chat on a different device, so we will make sure that if you have questions or comments, we will be able to help you. And then the list of participants is what one of those other buttons mean.
So in the chat right now, think about it for a second, and what are you most interested in learning in this session? Pretty much why are you here? What's your purpose for being here? What do you want to learn? That will kind of help us kind of augment the flow of this session to best meet your needs just by getting that information, some feedback. So take a minute, drop it in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at it and move on from there.
And again, the chat is located on the top right. Go ahead and click that speech bubble looking thing, and then you can put your thoughts in there. And some of these things, which we'll talk about, we'll go over in future sessions. Some of them we'll go over now, but this is great information for us. Thank you. So certainly if there's a distance learning model in the fall, what can we do besides just this kind of meeting? Perfect. Oh, and I see Adam's going to write some notes here of these things, yeah?
Yep.
All right.
So I got the little whiteboard here.
Yeah. Coordinating with Google Classroom. Absolutely.
Ooh,
That's
that's a good
something relatively new we'll be talking about in our we'll briefly go over it in the second session. Okay, excellent. So a school district that's hesitant to use two-way video monitoring, we're going to talk about that, about the safety, FERPA compliance, and what different districts have done, etc. Excellent. Distance learning in the future, certainly. Features. Oh, making it interactive. That's a good one. Let's put that on there, certainly with students.
I did see one I saw was how it compares to Zoom.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so that we definitely can answer those questions.
Absolutely. Oh, oops. Is it a realistic option for distance learning in the fall? Okay.
I would think so.
Perfect. This somewhat Tim's department just opened it up for teachers. Perfect. And how to engage students. Excellent. These are great things. Certainly. So it sounds like we've got a lot of G Suite Google Classroom users here. So we will certainly be talking about that engagement factor and the integration and such. Thank you for your thoughts in the chat here. This is very helpful. Let's go ahead and get going. So with the education accounts, you now have these advanced features through September 30th that you probably won't need. But you can have meetings with up to 250 participants. You can live stream. Probably not going to be doing that, but that would be cool if you are working at a school and you're like on a leadership team and you want to live stream like a message from all the teachers for back to school night or something like that. And then you can record as well, which with students, you probably won't be doing, but we'll talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about when it's okay to record and kind of how to record.
If your district is okay with
again,
it. We'll go into that.
Yeah, we'll jump into that a little bit.
So first of all, safety. So something that's helpful to know is if with this education account, you are the only one that is now, this is relatively new. This was an issue before, but you're the only one, if you are the one that created the event, you're the only one that can set it up.
Let someone in real quick.
Perfect.
There we go.
All right. You're the one that can set it up and mute or remove video meeting participants. Now, this was not the case about a month ago. And so Google is really listening to feedback from educators to improve Google Meet all the time. So just wanted to, because they were able to do that before.
Yeah,
so
it's always, it has evolved in the last probably month more than it ever has. I mean, Google Meet's been around for almost 2 years. People don't realize it. I know I was there. We were early beta testers on it, and people were like, well, is it different than Google Hangouts? Yes, because it does have more features. It's like a hybrid between the classic Google Hangouts that most people are familiar with and Zoom. It's like take the stability and the user interface of Zoom and you apply that to Hangouts. So it's a cleaner interface than Google Hangouts, but it's so it's more like Zoom in that sense. So you could say it's Google's version of Zoom. That's pretty much the biggest comparison that you could make.
Essentially, yes. Also, we're going to be talking about Google Classroom integration in the next session. So we did have a question about that. Oh, if you mute them, can you unmute them?
Oh, yeah. I actually, let's see, can I unmute them? No, I think, no. They
can only unmute themselves, right?
Yes, only you can unmute yourself. If you were, I know there was a few people who came in and had their mic on, and I just, as the host, I muted those people. I can't turn their microphone back on,
okay,
but I can turn them off. Great question.
Oh, wait, I just want to tell them what this link is here. So Google itself, if you wanted to know their student privacy information, you can click here and learn all about that. Okay, so I think this is really helpful. This came out, gosh, everything had already started happening mid-March or so. And so the U.S. Department of Education did a webinar, and these are the slides from that webinar, and you can click here to see all the slides, but these are some screenshots. Adam, did you want to add something?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot to kind of unpack here, but I just want you to focus for the most part on this last kind of blurb right here, which says FERPA would not prohibit the teacher from making a recording of the lesson available to students enrolled in the class. So pretty much what that means is that according to the U.S. Department of Education, it is legal and it's FERPA compliant if you want to do a live video with students, with their videos too, where they're showing their faces. You can not only facilitate that with something like Google Meet or Zoom, you can do it and you can record it. But here's the part right here: available to the students enrolled in that class. So if you are a third grade teacher recording your science lesson with, and you have, let's say you have a dozen students who show up, you record that, you can show it to the dozen students who didn't show up and show them that recording. But you can't say, hey, my teacher next door, I want them to see that lesson too. You are only the kids are enrolled in your class. If you're in a secondary class, and you, let's say you do a fifth, for your fifth period math class, you do some guided notes, some guided practice, and you record it, and students are are visible in the video. You record it, it can only be shared with that fifth period class. You can't say, okay, I'm going to show it to my sixth period too. So that's kind of the interpretations that what I've gleaned from it and what I've been told. So with the kids who are enrolled in that specific class are the ones who can see the recorded video.
Now, this being said, while this is the U.S. Department of Education's information about FERPA, your district may have board policies that are more restrictive. And so you certainly need to follow those board policies and administrator directives as well. So, you know, this is to say this is what U.S. Department of Education says, but it certainly is something that you need to follow what your district is saying. But I think it's helpful information to know. I know some districts have said, yes, teachers can use it, but they can't record it. I've heard other districts say if there's parent permission, it can be recorded, like written permission. I've heard some districts say you can use Google Meet and record it, but only if the students turn off their camera during the recording.
That's what ours.
That's what your district.
Actually, we're not even allowed to record. We can.
Okay.
We can. So they've actually because there's one difference there between Zoom and Meet, that in Meet you cannot control the students. The cameras. Their camera. You can, if you want to use Meet, you have to tell them to turn it off. Right. Most kids have no problem doing that. Right. In Zoom, you can set it where they can't even use their camera. They can only participate through audio.
Right. So again, make sure that you follow what your district is asking you to do. But we did think that this was important. There may be some administrators on the call that could glean some information from this resource. So we wanted to make sure and provide that for you. All right, so here's some other information that I think is really helpful about from the U.S. Department of Ed, just about photos and videos under FERPA. So you can click there on that link for more information about that. All right. So there's different ways that we can join a Google Meet. I want to speak through this one first.
Yeah, there's a variety of ways to do it. There's pretty much just like in Zoom, if you can get the link, you somehow, how do you get the link to from Google Meet to to Gmail, to Calendar? Calendar and Gmail are going to be the two most popular ways to do it. So what you see right here is someone accepting a Google Meet link through email. The other way to do it is through Calendar. So either through your Google Calendar or your Gmail are the two most popular ways to do it. You can drop the link into a Google Hangout, a Google Chat as well. So there are a variety of ways to do it. But we could talk about it, but we could just show it. Yes,
I do want to say too, I think we have the calendar one next.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is how to join from these different places. This is for like colleagues. You're doing a PLC, you're doing a meeting with some colleagues. And so Diane, that's a great question. Can you add an invitation in Google Classroom? There's a way that in Google Classroom, you're going to have kids join the Meet directly from Classroom, and you as a teacher are going to create it in Classroom. And that's something we'll be talking about next. Mm-hmm. We might even get to it at least a bit today because so many people asked. We'll definitely make sure we address it a bit.
But we can pump the brakes for a second and kind of just show what the process of what this looks like. First, you have these GIFs right here that are easy for you to refer to in the future. But let's go ahead and show you what that looks like. So I'm going to start here. We'll do the first one. do one here from how to do it from how to send it out to Gmail. So I'm actually in a different account right now. I think we have the chat. Oh, you got it. That was you. I heard the chat thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to, I'm in Gmail. Now, there's a couple ways to get to it. In Gmail, you have these Google Meet little buttons right here that you can start a meeting or join a meeting if you have the code. You can click join a meeting. But let's say I want to start a meeting and then send it out to somebody through Gmail. So if I click start a meeting right here, it's going to start my Google Meet. I'm actually doing 2 Google Meets at once here. So allow. So I click join now. And as soon as I join, it's going to give me this link here, copy the join information. I can click that, or if I'm already in the meet, if I were to come over here, hit add people, I can invite them directly through email. So if I want to invite Catherine on her Gmail here, okay, or I can come down here to the bottom left. If I'm in the middle of my meet, I say, oh, I need to add so-and-so. I can click meeting details, copy joining information, and then I can directly drop that into a Gmail right here. Pasting that information right here. I could even do it through Google Chat as well, where I click on someone's name here. And well, I haven't chatted with this person yet, but I could just
With yourself.
I could paste that in there into a chat and get them there. So there's a couple ways to do it, from Google Meet as well. You could even come up here and grab the link up here, copy and paste it. Then again, a variety of ways to get people in.
So Adam, can you speak to the fact that this Gmail way of starting a meeting may not be, it's brand new, and so it might not be on everybody's Gmail yet?
Yes, so right here, it pretty much is. Right now, I'm on a regular gmail.com account.
Oh, rolled out to everyone.
It's rolled out to everybody.
Okay.
It's relatively new right here. So you see Gmail, you have Meet, and you have Chat. Here's for texting. This is for joining. This is for joining a
video call.
Either starting one
Mhm.
or joining one. So if I click join a meeting right here, if someone has sent you the code if you're within the same domain, they gave you a nickname.
Mhm.
You just type it all in there. And again, right here, it says you don't need to put the dashes because all the codes have dashes in there. So definitely something to look at.
Adam, we have a question in here. So,
Yes.
so a couple questions. First of all, as far as logins from a phone, they have to have the app,
Yes,
the Google Meet app.
that's right.
But the next question is, do they have to have their school Gmail account to join the Google Meet on the app?
On that, not necessarily. If they would need to be logged in, if they're going to join, which we'll talk about later, through Google Classroom.
That way, yes.
Then yes, but
Mhm.
pretty much anybody can join a Google Meet with any Gmail account, whether it's a personal Gmail or a school-issued Gmail. Working with kids, have them use their school one.
Mhm.
That's just my rule of thumb. There, always have them use that school one. It's safer. It could be that also that your whoever's in charge of your Google domain, they may have either on purpose or inadvertently not allowed you to join Google Meets or Hangouts outside of your domain. So that could be something, but they don't. Do they need to? Not necessarily, but I definitely would. I would recommend that.
Certainly. So the question was because of families sharing a device. So you'll be able to join on whichever account,
Mhm.
as long as the accounts are all on that device. It'll ask.
Yeah. So let's say that you have 3 siblings sharing an iPad. If they have the Google Meet app on that iPad, they could easily open up the Google Meet app, and they could toggle in between all the different accounts that are logged into it. So
Yeah.
yes, definitely done. Great questions here.
Absolutely.
Let's see where
Calendar we were going to do next.
Yes, Calendar. So let me show you how to start Google Meet from Calendar. This is probably the most popular way of doing it. This is the way I would do it when I'm working with colleagues.
Mhm.
So if I'm setting up a PLC meeting or I'm doing some remote lesson planning with a colleague. So I'm going to go ahead and move over here to Calendar. Okay, so it's as simple as just creating a calendar event. So top left corner, you click the create button here. And I always tell everyone, go to more options. It's a lot easier. And so we can call this test Google Meet. And you set your date and time however you like. And right here, this is the most important thing here. It says add Google Meet video conferencing. You click on that, and it's going to create a link automatically. You can set some notifications. You can invite people. I'll invite you, Catherine. When I click save, there we go. So here's my Google Calendar. Catherine just got this sent to her calendar, so she can, when she opens it, it'll look like this. She click on it. Oh, there's.
I actually just got the emails telling me that I was invited to a calendar event.
And that this button will be in the email as well, or she can open it through Calendar and simply just click right here, join with Google Meet, and she's in.
Oh, I'd like to add something.
Yes.
There are some districts that use Outlook as well. And so in my organization, some people use Outlook Calendar, some people use Google Calendar. So even so, if I send them, I create this Google Meet link, this calendar invite, and I invite them, as Adam showed, they'll still have this link even in their Outlook email they get. So they can still log in, which is great. So I'm going to show that one more time, Adam.
Go for it.
So we make a new, oh, you want to
let me let
someone in real quick?
Trying to get in.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to make my event sample again. This is the important part right here. Add Google Meet video conferencing.
It's just one click.
That's it.
Click it once.
This is important as well. If I want to actually invite someone, I'll invite myself there. Okay. Then again, oh, this is interesting too. Sometimes I let people invite others that may be interested in the meeting. But if you don't like that, you can click that off. Save, send. Now, what's also cool about this is that once this is done, do you see how there's this green checkbox? That means that since Adam started the meeting, he'll be there. If I responded in the email, yes, there would also be a green checkbox. If I responded maybe, there'd be a yellow question mark. And if I responded no, there'd be a red X. So it could be really helpful for colleagues and perhaps parents, to be honest, if you have any parent meetings you'd like to do.
All right, good stuff.
Okay.
Let's go back to present mode.
So again, with students, we'll talk about the Google Classroom integration, but we certainly wanted you to know how to do this with colleagues because that's really important as well. I use Zoom. Someone asked about Zoom. I use Zoom when I have lots of, if I'm using it with a lot of students, like a whole big group of students, especially adult students, or if I have just like a whole bunch of like 50 people on a call or something.
Yeah.
But Google Meet is great when it's real quick because of the calendar integration. I love just, there it is. The meeting's right there in the calendar invite. So
yeah, I use it daily for office hours. So if you're doing some kind of office hours thing, Google Meet it's quick, it's easy, it has similar features to Zoom, not nearly as many, but it has just what I need to do some simple office hours. They can share their screen. It's a good, simple, clean interface. Like with Zoom, you have to click a lot of different things to find certain things, and that a lot of cool features. But with Meet, it's just click, click, boom, and you're in. And it's so good for office hours, or if you're on call for students. Definitely something you want to. I would recommend it for that.
Oh, did you want to talk a little bit about the app real quick?
Yeah, on the mobile app, it doesn't matter if it's your iOS, if you're with an iPhone or an Android, it works the same. You can join through, as you can see there, through a meeting code. You can initiate a Google Meet call through the app. You can join them. Pretty much all the same thing that you would do with on your computer or tablet.
Now, if you click a link from Google Classroom, does it take you directly to the Google Meet app?
Yeah.
So they wouldn't need the meeting code is what I'm saying.
That's right, yeah.
Right. That's what I was clarifying there. Perfect. So you don't have to give them that meeting code if they are going to click through Google Classroom or a link from an email or something like that.
Yeah, so I mean, what I've done before, I've created this standing on call one that I show up, certain hours in the morning, and I give it a nickname. I called it Tech Coach Wars. So it's easy to remember, and people can consider. I have teacher will go in their Gmail. They'll say join meeting. They'll type in that Coach Juarez. That's the code that I gave them, and then they're in. So that, and you can do that. You can do the same thing through the mobile app as well. So just a variety of ways to get there.
All right. So, well, we have 2 minutes to actually call everyone's name, I think. It'd be a little tricky to have them unmute. But
Maybe do it in the chat.
yeah, in the chat. I will say, as far as keeping students engaged, this can be helpful. You know, stop every once in a while in the chat, or maybe you do, you know, some people use the random name selector. You can still do that and ask them to unmute and share. So anyway, just in the chat, let us know how you joined today's meet. They probably all just click the link, to be honest.
Are you on an iPad, a phone,
mobile,
a tablet? You're on your Chromebook, laptop.
Okay, email, Chromebook, cool. Yep. The question 2 is, can you create? So you can create the custom codes.
That's only within your domain. So like right now, you guys will actually join my domain, my Google Trainer domain. Only if you had an email address within that. So if you're working with, you know, students in your district, or you're working with colleagues in your district, yes, you can do the custom code. If you want to send it to someone who's outside of it with a personal Gmail, they can't do it. So great question there.
So you'll see. So here we have people that joined via an email from Outlook, an email from Gmail, mostly the email links. But then someone said opened the. So joined with the link in the email, and then it opened directly on the mobile phone app. So again, that answers that question. Lots of different ways that people can join, and so absolutely. Okay, interesting. So clicked the link from the email. All right, calendar one wouldn't work. Interesting. Okay, all right. Email on Google from laptop. Perfect. Perfect.
Right. Cool.
Thank you for sharing. We appreciate all the interaction. That's always good.
I mean, we had a variety of answers there. The thing is that, you know, that's the one thing about Google. They give you 3 or 4 ways to do everything. There's not one way to do it with Google. There's always many, you know, side doors to get into anything. So
right. And here, opened in Safari.
Yep.
Still works on Safari. No problem.
Yep.
Awesome. So something that's helpful, if you've got unstable Wi-Fi. So if somebody is or if someone else is speaking and they're kind of cutting out, they're like, their face will stop during the video and you won't hear them for a while, and then they'll come back a bit. Turning off the camera can help with that. So certainly something that you'll want to consider, letting students know if you're working with them, and then letting people know to mute their mics when they aren't speaking. You, of course, can mute as the host. We'll show you how you can mute them, but reminding kids about this and colleagues can be really helpful. They don't often realize that we can hear people typing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so, but you can actually hear people typing. So the muting is certainly a norm that you want to let people know about. All right. So we showed you this already, but then this again is going to show you how to schedule that Google Meet within Google Calendar, which is the way I do it for colleagues, even for some professional learning sessions I've done. I'd send it to the administrator, who then sends it to the whole staff. And just through this invite. So I'll invite the principal, and then the principal is able to invite others and invites the whole staff. So and then they all have that conferencing here, and so they're all able to join the link. I don't have to do anything. It's super easy.
If you see something right there, you may find it a little odd. You see a button that says "Make it a Zoom meeting." Don't freak out about, hey, I don't have that. That's because in my domain, I have it set up where I can schedule Zoom through my Gmail as well. I have that set up. So if you don't see that, but he has that's not a common thing.
Right.
That's just a special feature that I set up through my own domain. Most districts don't really have that. But you will see, it'll say schedule a Google Meet. It'll be the big blue button, or it says right here, add conferencing. That's where you would do Google Meet. So I know it may look different on different people's accounts just based on the settings that domain has.
Mm-hmm. All right. You can also start a Meet from your web browser, going to meet.google.com, or from the Waffle here.
And that is the official name. It is called the Waffle. if you notice, anything about Google, they will name a lot of their products after food. So, if you see the 3 lines,
Oh, right.
that's called the hamburger.
That's right.
The hamburger menu, you have your waffle menu, even all the Android updates are like lollipop and ice cream sandwich and stuff. So.
So here's where you would join or start a meeting. So this is where this is what Adam was talking about, where he actually created Tech Coach Juarez as the nickname. And so if he gives that to someone, then they can join or start the meeting, and they'll be able to put in that nickname too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And feel free to continue asking questions in the chat as you have been doing.
And again, right here's something that I demonstrated earlier, how to add somebody. Once you've already started a meeting, you can go ahead and start a meeting. It's just you there, like, who do I need to invite? You can invite them once the meeting's already started. Or maybe you're in the middle of a meeting with 10 people. You're like, hey, let's bring so-and-so in. You simply click the add people button there at the top, and then drop in their email address, and they're going to get email right away with a link to joining that live call. So again, they don't have to be there exactly when it starts to join in. I'm going to
drop the link to the presentation in again, in case for those that joined us a bit after it was put in there. So Adam, do you want to talk through the safety options as your host? Because I think this will be really important, particularly for those who are.
Yes, so you can, as we have 2 things you can do. You can mute somebody, which means that once I mute them, then I can't unmute them, but I'm able to mute them, whether it's by accident or maybe it's a kid acting unruly and they're saying things that are inappropriate. You can cut them off, and if they continue and do appropriate thing next to it, you have the remove button them out. I can keep them out of the meet. So there definitely some safeguards there. It gives you a measure of control over your video call.
Also, can you talk about the pinning? The pin's pretty cool. Or I can.
Oh,
either way. So this push pin here, if you have a student that in the past has, maybe you've needed to mute more often than others or something like that. So then you can pin them to the top, so that way you don't have to scroll through to find all the people in the participants here. Yeah. So that can be helpful.
If you have a kid who's presenting, you're like, okay, I want to make sure I can kind of at a glance see them without having to go ahead and find them. So definitely a little nice little feature right there.
So Adam, I know we were going to originally have people schedule a meet using Calendar, but I'm wondering, because we have let's see, it's 4:36 already. Yeah. I'm wondering if we had a lot of questions about Google Classroom integration. I'm wondering if we demonstrate that instead.
Yeah, I think so. With a large group like this, it would take a while to do this little activity. So yeah, we'll definitely do that instead. So
yeah,
let's move over to some Google Classroom here. Let's go ahead and get out of this account and go to my other account.
Oh, and let's see these questions here. Oh, here we go. So can participants add people once the meeting has already started, or just the facilitator?
Yes, they can. They can share the link with. Now, if you're not using Google Classroom, then yes, you can. Right. So if I share something with Catherine, she can send it off to people as well with Google Meet that way. But if what I'm going to show next through Google Classroom, that cannot be done. Only people who are enrolled in your Google. If you do the Google Meet through Google Classroom, only the kids who are enrolled in that specific classroom are the only ones that can
only
join.
in your domain.
No. So the way it works is.
Did they fix that?
No, that's the way it's once they set it up for Google Classroom.
For Classroom.
So if Catherine's in my classroom and she joins my Meet through Google Classroom, and she takes a link, I'm going to send it to my friend at a different school or in a different class period, they can't join. It's set up where they can only join if you're enrolled in that classroom. I'm going to kind of show you right now what that looked like.
So that's what makes it more safe for kids than it used to be. This is a great question too. It used to be that the session would, the kids can stay on after the host. So you can remove them first. So tell them sign off. If they don't sign off, then you're going to go, why don't you show them up here? Oh, I was going to say on the,
okay.
Yeah, show them up here. So what Adam can do, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's kind of small, but there's this arrow on the
So
right.
if I want to kick out Alicia, I promise I'm not going to kick you out. But if I click there and I hit this little remove button here, if you haven't left and you're refusing to leave, I'll just kick you out right now and you're done. That's the way it is. So you definitely want to make sure that if kids, you stay on for like another minute, if kids aren't getting off, just kick them out.
Kick them out, yeah. Definitely. So I would definitely do that before you be the last one on the call.
And let's see, can you bring them back?
They can, well, once the host is gone, then they can't come back.
Yeah, so if I was to kick Alicia out right now and then end the meeting, she couldn't come back. It's done.
Once you end the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once the meeting is over.
Another couple other questions. So Tim, you can't lock the class like you can lock the meeting in Zoom. To be honest, Zoom has a lot of really good safety features, even though there were some challenges publicity-wise and some people sharing Zoom meetings publicly and such on social media.
Yeah,
but
a lot of Zoom bombing was the result of user error. People just making those links public.
But I will say, that being said, Google is really stepping it up with the Google Classroom integration. Yeah. And so while you can't lock the class, there is safety in that. So that part's good. And then Shannon, you can't add a co-host in the settings, unfortunately.
Yeah, co-hosting is one of the, they have not dropped that feature yet. But as far as locking the class, you know, whoever's in your class, it's locked to that. It's locked into that class. So if you are using Meet, again, as I'm going to show in a sec here, through Google Classroom, it's locked. No outsiders are going to get in unless they are enrolled in that class or if they're a co-teacher. That's it. I mean, I couldn't share that with, you know, a teacher down the hall who's not a co-teacher of that classroom. They wouldn't be able to join.
All right, so why don't you show them all that?
Yep.
Because that's the Google Classroom integration. We're going to have more on next week's session. Couple things, not next week, Wednesday. Couple things. This is being recorded, so you can once the sessions are done, the recordings will be sent to you afterwards. Once all 3 sessions are done. So that's one place to go to review and look at all this again. Also, as far as this Google Classroom integration part, there's going to be information and step-by-step instructions on Wednesday on the slide deck that'll go through it as well.
All right. So Google, about a month ago, once they really started trying to compete with Zoom, they added this part to Google Classroom where each classroom you create has its own unique Google Meet link here at the top. If you see right here that there's a little eyeball with the slash through it, that means the kids can't see it right now. You're looking at the teacher version of this right now. So you see this, the kids aren't able to see it until I turn it on for that. I turn that on when I want them to be able to see it. So what I may do as a teacher, I may say, okay, 10 a.m. on Wednesday, join the Meet. I would post that, and every kid's going to get an email, or if they as soon as I post this, or when or if they have the app on their phone, they're going to get a pop-up notification. So this is an announcement that I'm going to give. So the way it would work for me, I would say, okay, at 9:50, I usually go 3 minutes early. 9:57, I'm going to go turn this Meet on. I'm going to start it. So when they go into Google Classroom at 10 a.m., all they got to do is click on the link, and they're in. So how do I get this for the students to be able to see? Simple. I click on the settings button right here. There's my Google Meet right now. As you can see, it's not visible to students. I turn that on. Click Save. And when we go back to the, here, now you see that this button has changed. Now that means kids, when they log in, now they can click it. And they can join the Meet. So my rule of thumb, 3 minutes early, I go turn it on for them. I'm going to be the first one there. Then when the meeting's done, all they got to do is go back and turn it off right here. And any kid that was in there gets kicked out automatically. No kid can go back and rejoin. Even if they copied this link, they go to it, it's going to say, no, you're not allowed in. So it's without having to go and create different Meet links over and over, you have one built into your Google Classroom. Now, again, this is a sample classroom. If I had a bunch of students in here, and here's my co-teacher, only us who are on this page here would be allowed to join this. Even if a kid took the link and gave it to their friend from a different class period or across the hall, they could try to join. It would not allow them because they're not enrolled in my classroom. Go ahead.
Adam, a couple questions. Well, first of all, someone asked about breakout rooms, which are not, unfortunately, a part of Google Meet. But there was another question. Can this be assigned to certain students? So not this way. However, Adam, can you show how you could just go to Classwork, create an assignment, and put in a link to a specific Google Meet?
Yeah, so if I were to create a Google Meet, through the Google Meet website or through Calendar or however I create the Meet, simply the one way to do that would be to, if I was going to go create a material in Classwork, and what I would do, I would go to all students, and I would just check the kids that I want to join that Meet. So if I was doing some differentiated small group work, definitely, and I would put the link in the material right here. Just simply click link, paste it in there, and then only those kids would see it. So that would be a way around it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So great question, Paige. If a teacher forgets to turn off the Meet and the link stays on, can the kids join without a host? That used to be the case. So if you've heard some stories within maybe about a month ago or so of that happening, it used to. But now Google has changed it where they cannot join.
I think that there was like a minute. Once the host leaves, whether they left it turned on or off or not in Classroom, once the host leaves, after 1 minute, they're all kicked out.
Okay.
So yeah, so there is that 1 minute, but it's like a 60-second countdown, and then the kids are all kicked out until the next time the host joins.
Right.
So great questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's about that time.
It is 4:45.
Wow, that went fast.
It did. We flew through that. Is there a website that Google has where they note the updates? You can sign up for the email with the updates. Do you remember where that is, Adam?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think if you Google it.
Yeah, honestly, if you just Google it, like definitely you could find it.
You can sign up. Where I'm trying to remember.
So Tim asked a good question about where do the recordings go. The recordings will go straight into your Google Drive. Let me pull up an example here after one of my many accounts here. So once you start, the first time you record it, it's going to create a folder in your Drive called Meet Recordings right here. You can see this one right here. Open it up. Everyone will go in here, and you can rename them. It does it's titled the file by the name of the code of the Meet code, that whatever it was for that session. So yeah, definitely it goes straight into your Drive. You don't have to think. You don't have to create the folder. It'll make it for you automatically. All right. Well, it's about that time, so I'm gonna go ahead and thank you for joining us here on a Monday afternoon. Kicked off your Monday right. So we'll be back here we'll get a little bit more advanced throughout the week, Wednesday and on Friday for sure. So if you have any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat, or you want to unmute and call us out. We'll stick around.
We'll stay around for a few minutes if anyone has any additional questions.
Stop presenting. There we go. And stop recording.